we do have time. At this point, there's no emergency. There's no rush to form conclusions that are based on limited intelligence or lack of knowledge.
This morning, nearly 150 million Americans are under heat alerts from Texas all the way to Maine.
Central banks and governments will flood the system with liquidity. And what does that do? We know that's part of the new inflation spiral. It is stagflation.
In this video, we're covering 3 significant developments that will impact our future. What we really know about the U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear site, how extreme weather is ramping up across the country, and why signs of stagflation are raising concerns about the economy. I'm going to break down what's happening, what it means to us, and what I'm doing right now based on all the news and what you can do today to stay ahead of these threats. Plus, we'll announce this week's giveaway winner and how to enter. So let's go ahead and jump in. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris, and on this channel we discuss emergency preparedness, aka prepping. Now, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude and intensity of these threats, which are constantly amplified by the news and online algorithms. Instead, I prefer to step back and carefully assess the top threats we genuinely face and provide you with specific, practical solutions and preparations. And these are actions that you can implement right now to reduce the impact if any of these threats significantly materialize. So let's dive deeper into this. Iran's nukes. The recent U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, particularly the heavy fortified Fordow enrichment plant deep beneath the mountain, has sparked considerable global debate and speculation about its true effectiveness and broader consequences. Now, from a preparedness standpoint, the key question remains, does this event genuinely diminish the nuclear threat enough to safely lower its priority on our preparedness list, allowing us to focus more clearly on numerous other pressing threats? Now, early reports claimed bunker buster strikes severely damaged Iran's nuclear facility, but later assessments cast doubt. Now, analysts stressed how hard it is to verify damage to underground structures with satellite imagery alone, urging caution before accepting optimistic initial conclusions. Now, recently leaked reports indicate that Iran may have anticipated these strikes, secretly relocating its critical stockpile of 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium beforehand. Now, satellite imagery revealed unusual truck movements at Fordow shortly before the attack, strongly suggesting a coordinated effort to secure and conceal vital nuclear materials. Now, these actions, combined with subsequent tunnel sealing operations, they imply that while the strikes caused significant physical damage to surface facilities and entrances, critical uranium stockpiles and centrifuge components likely survived intact. Now, consequently, the broader impact of these strikes might only temporarily set back Iran's nuclear ambitions, rather than permanently dismantling its capabilities. Now, historical lessons, notably the Iraq War and the notorious claim about weapons of mass destruction, really remind us of the critical need for caution and the verification that only comes with time and scrutiny. There are unknown unknowns, and we simply do not yet know the full truth or implications of these strikes. Nobody does with absolute certainty, and evaluating the true effectiveness of such military actions isn't straightforward. Satellite imagery alone cannot provide conclusive evidence of the integrity of the underground structure buried 250 feet deep. Intelligence agencies employ multiple sophisticated methods to paint an accurate picture, which takes substantial time. And a more comprehensive damage assessment will involve several intricate intelligence gathering techniques. Intelligence agencies will rely on a mix of human sources, air sampling, and signal intercepts to assess Iran's nuclear situation. Internal corruption, economic strain, and political tension may drive insiders to leak critical details, though this kind of human intelligence is slow and risky. Analysts will also monitor radiation levels near the strike zone. Spikes could signal damage to uranium containment structures. And meanwhile, intercepted communications may offer indirect clues, from urgent logistics and rescue efforts to requests for specialized equipment, materials, and construction workers, often more revealing than official statements ever will. And finally, cyber intelligence gathering is perhaps the most telling and innovative source in modern times. Analysts will closely watch Iranian internet traffic and digital communications. Officials or scientists may inadvertently disclose facility conditions and intentions through their online behavior, such as ordering replacement parts, researching emergency repair techniques, or discussing infrastructure damage privately. Now, this digital footprint can expose critical vulnerabilities or confirm successful military impacts long before and after official announcements. People will ask their computers all kinds of things they wouldn't dare to ask anyone else. And given the complexity and depth of this intelligence gathering operations, the full assessment of the U.S. strike's effectiveness at Fordo will require weeks or even months. Initial declarations of mission accomplished or outright failure should be viewed cautiously. Realistically, a complete understanding of the situation necessitates patience and meticulous intelligence analysis. We also don't know how this will impact Iranian decisions and deals in the future. Now, we know that China, North Korea, and Russia all have a vested interest in Iran, but will they also support Iran with rocket or nuclear material in the future? Will Iran slow or stymie traffic through the Strait of Hormuz and dampen global economies? Will they activate their secret state-sponsored terrorist cells to wreak havoc and panic in the West? Given the division and conflicts domestically this year so far, would we even be able to trace back a terrorist act to its source beyond our borders? Or would we just blame it on some other American? Will they unleash their cyber army on the West in retaliation? Cyber attacks are exceedingly difficult to trace back to their origin. What does this mean to us? Last week, our analysis proved accurate in predicting a ceasefire and Iran's use of indirect methods to retaliate. However, we thought Russia and China could do more to mediate, and we didn't expect the United States to become so suddenly militarily involved. The worst case scenario didn't happen because diplomacy worked and Iran chose not to escalate further. For now, the main risks are smaller: indirect attacks, cyber attacks, and ongoing instability in the region, not a major war. Now, from a prepping perspective, it's still too early to take nuclear threats completely off this list. This month's strike may have slowed Iran's progress, but they haven't ended the risk. The odds of a direct nuclear conflict or U.S. ground war in the Middle East remain extremely low. So if you were only mildly concerned before, you can dial that worry down a notch. That said, indirect attacks like cyber attacks, terrorism, and proxy wars are now more likely and could hit closer to home. The smart move is to keep your planning balanced, stay alert, and adjust as better information becomes available. So what do you think? Is the Iran-Israel-U.S. conflict simmering down, or are we just at the very beginning of it all? Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below. Now, before I move on from this point, I do want to say one thing. I was 25 when the towers fell on 9/11, and I remember the fear, the uncertainty, and I remember the rush to war, the rush to convince the American people that it was all justified, the rush to declare victory before all the facts were known. And like many of you, I recall how that story unfolded. We were misled. And that experience, it really left a permanent mark on me. It made me a skeptic, not of our troops who served with incredible honor and sacrifice, but of the politicians and agencies who so quickly assured us that everything worked perfectly. So when I hear that the recent U.S. strike on Iran's underground Fordo nuclear facility neutralized the threat and that uranium is gone, I want to believe it. I really do. But I also want proof. Because the truth is, we've heard these confident declarations before. And just like in the early days of Iraq, we're now seeing conflicting reports. Signs Iran moved uranium before the strike, evidence the tunnel entrants were sealed, not destroyed, and no conclusive imagery to verify the actual damage inside a facility that's buried 250 feet underground. So yes, I hope the strike did work. But hope is not a strategy, and history reminds us that trust, it must be earned with evidence, not headlines. And as a prepper, we don't panic, but we don't blindly accept either. We stay vigilant, question everything, and wait for the truth to emerge. Forecast warning. We'll leave the more theoretical threats and turn our attention to the more obvious real threats that we're all facing this season. The spring and early summer of 2025 have seen significant weather disasters across the United States, marked by severe tornadoes, devastating floods, widespread wildfires, and an intense heat dome affecting the East Coast. Now, severe tornado outbreaks heavily impacted central and southern regions, notably in Kentucky, Missouri, and Arkansas, causing extensive property damage, leveling thousands of homes, and leading to dozens of fatalities. Emergency response efforts face significant challenges, highlighting vulnerabilities in local warning systems and shelters. Historic flash flooding simultaneously struck Texas and West Virginia, resulting in numerous deaths, widespread destruction, and significant disruptions to power and infrastructure. Now, dramatic rescues were carried out as residents took desperate measures, some even climbing trees or rooftops to escape rising floodwaters. And many communities continue to struggle with the aftermath, dealing with extensive damage and loss. Additionally, wildfires have escalated rapidly nationwide, burning over 1.2 million acres with significant damage in Oklahoma and Alaska. Fires have destroyed hundreds of homes, forced mass evacuations, and severely compromised air quality. And emergency officials continue to battle active fires as affected communities begin the difficult process of recovery. And compounding these weather crises, an intense heat dome on the East Coast has brought record-breaking temperatures, worsening drought conditions, and increasing risk of heart-related illnesses. Meteorologists warn this heat may even persist, potentially exacerbating existing threats. Now, we warned last month that heat was getting to be a bigger problem this year, and we also put out a video on how to survive a summer power outage a few years back, and you might want to check that video out. These heat waves, lingering as long as they do, they can and will lead to challenges and failures in our infrastructure. I'm going to link to those videos in the comments and description section below and at the end of the screen of this video. So what does this mean to us? The extreme weather we're currently experiencing is expected to intensify in the immediate future. Summer officially began just last week with the summer solstice, and our meteorological summer started on June 1st, so we're only 28% of the way through that. Hurricane season also just began, and we may have yet to see any major ones this season. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't. It's more probable that we will. There's no denying that we'll continue to see these extreme weather events with perhaps greater intensity and frequency. So we really should move from the theoretical threats to the very practical, real threats we absolutely are going to face. And understanding this reality, we can actually benefit by converting that anxiety about the world out there we can't control in energy put into preparing for the very real threats that we know we're going to face when it comes to intense weather. My area, for example, is a high heat and high wildfire risk zone. Now, I don't have to worry about floods or tornadoes, but I do have to worry a little about earthquakes as well. I prepare for my big three biggies: high heat, wildfires, and earthquakes. But whatever your biggies are, the preparation is similar. Know your bug out routes and have an evacuation plan. Prep your equipment with what you'll need to make it through the disaster and survive the aftermath of it. Do your property maintenance as if extreme weather is right around the corner. So basically, what this means to us is that we still have time to prepare, but not a lot of it. So get your preps in line today for that inevitable tomorrow. So what do you think? Have you experienced some extreme out of the ordinary weather events so far this year? Let us know what's happening or what's forecasted in your area by leaving a comment on this video. Stagflation. Recent economic indicators point toward a potentially troubling period of stagflation characterized by stagnant economic growth, coupled with persistently high inflation and rising unemployment. Now, inflation in the United States remains elevated and is expected to stay above the Federal Reserve's target through the end of 2025, while unemployment is projected to rise gradually into 2026 as labor market conditions weaken. Now, these trends are typical of stagflation. Consumer sentiment and business investment are declining, and with many households struggling to keep up with rising prices and stagnant wages, fueling widespread economic pessimism. Now, financial experts and focus group analysis reveal widespread economic pessimism across diverse demographic segments, and families increasingly report struggles with managing basic living expenses amidst steadily rising prices and stagnant or declining wages. Economists caution that these signs indicate a difficult economic road ahead, possibly lasting through the coming year or even longer. Now, finances are a foundational prep. Proactively managing your financial situation and securing your online financial presence can make a significant difference in weathering economic downturns. Now is the time to strengthen your financial resilience before economic conditions potentially worsen. Financial preparedness is more important than ever as economic uncertainty grows. Another thing to be aware of is that cyber threats typically escalate during periods of economic instability as individuals become more vulnerable to scams promising relief or financial opportunities, or bad actors simply know that their attacks are more impactful in challenging times. Securing online accounts with strong, unique passwords, using 2FA or two-factor authentication, and regularly reviewing financial statements for unusual activities become critical practices to avoid potential financial disasters. What does this mean to us? We've always recommended treating your finances as a foundational aspect of preparedness, emphasizing the need to actively manage debt, maintain a robust emergency fund, and supply of food and water for any hard times you face in the future. And if you can, building up at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, while I know it's difficult, in a savings account, it can provide at least a crucial buffer against job loss or unexpected costs. Now, reviewing your budget, reducing high interest debt, and ensuring you have essential supplies on hand, they're all practical steps to strengthen your financial resilience in the face of financial downturns. Overall, the outlook suggests a challenging economic period that could persist through 2025 and beyond, making your financial preps more important than ever. So, do you agree that we're entering a period of stagflation, or has the economy gotten better for you in this year? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Giveaway. This week's winner is going to receive a rechargeable emergency flashlight. All you have to do to participate in the giveaway is just simply comment on the video, give it a thumbs up, and complete the giveaway form linked in the description and comment section below. Giving the video a thumbs up for this video allows us to spread the prepping message even further. Also, you have to complete the form to be eligible, as that's how we randomly pick a winner and contact you. This information is only accessible to our team here at City Prepping. Using a random selection tool, we'll choose a winner from the entrance and reach out to you via the email that you provided on the submitted form. So, congrats to our last giveaway winner for the 5-pack of high-capacity water straws, Sam Medina. we'll reach out to you shortly to get that sent right away. As I always like to do at the end of these news segments, I like to end with two things. First, I like to share what I'm working on, and second, I like to share just a basic word of encouragement. So let me start with what I'm working on. Honestly, the last couple of weeks, our entire team has been working on finishing up our Suburban Preppers course, which we launched at the beginning of May. We released it in 3 phases, and we're just now wrapping up phase 3, which we're going to release next month. And before I sat down to film this video, a couple hours before, I finally finished my last video of that course. And I'll be honest with you, it has been weighing heavily on me for a couple of years now. I had this idea of doing this a couple of years ago. I ended up buying this property. I converted 3,000 square feet into an area that we're calling our Suburban Preppers Homestead. We wanted to show Americans and anybody around the world what they can do with an area that's actually smaller than the average American backyard. And so, as far as going into a self-sufficient setup, gardening, chickens, rain harvesting, solar, composting, you name it, we've covered it. And so building this homestead and documenting it at the same time has been way more difficult than I could have imagined. I mean, it'd be one thing if I'm out there working all day building it, but then I have to think about, all right, well, how do I walk through the steps and show people? And then how do I create all of the narration for that? And then how do I oversee the editing, and then post, and it takes from one little thing, and you have to multiply it basically times 5 to get it to the finished product. So having said that, what I'm going to do is at the end of July, I'm going to release a video where I'll detail the 1-year experience that I've had here at the property. At the end of July, it'll be 1 year after I bought this property. I'll share what I've learned. I'll share the successes, the failures, the systems we've built, all the work that we've done. It's been a lot of work. And I always say we, you'll hear that word often. It's never just me. I have a team that I've hired and I've built over the years. I own this business. I'm not owned by any equity firm or anything like that. It's just me. And I'm doing this with a team to try to document all this information to help you prepare. And so it has been one of the most challenging things I've done and one of the most rewarding things. It's exhausting. The last couple of months I've been working 12-hour, 13-hour days. And so what I'm going to do, and I shared this a couple of weeks ago, I'm just going to take most of July off. We've already, over the next week, we're going to finish up a lot of the content that we'll have prepared and ready to be released on the channel, a lot of good how-to videos, a lot of good practical information. We'll keep up the news segments. I'll come in once a week for those. But overall, I'm going to take a break. Excuse me. My mind today I was getting to that point of mental exhaustion. When I finished that last video wrap, I was like, woohoo, so it was a good feeling. But anyway, just wanted to kind of give you a little peek behind the scenes. And again, we'll get back into the rhythm of showing you what we're doing on this property to encourage you and to, show you what can practically be done as, you move forward in your preparedness journey. So what I always like to do in these news segments is I like to end with a word of encouragement. And I do this because I know these segments can be heavy. And, in this particular one, between the uncertainty I ran, the escalating weather disasters, and the real signs of economic stagflation, or rather stagnation, it's easy to feel overwhelming and it's easy to feel like the walls are closing in. But here's the thing. And I say this as someone who's really been down this road more than once. This is where preparedness really shines. This is where we see what we've done, how it actually plays out in our life. In preparedness, it's not about living in a constant state of fear. It's about clarity. It's about taking all the noise, the headlines, the unknowns, and translating them into a plan that you can control. So when the world feels unstable, your calm, methodical steps forward, they become your advantage. And when others are frozen or freaking out, you move. If you've stocked a few extra supplies, practiced an evacuation route, secured your finances, or even just talked with your family about the what-if scenarios, you're already ahead of the curve. And every step, no matter how small, it does build real-world resilience. So you don't need to solve everything today. And that's the key takeaway. You don't have to get everything done today. I've been doing this for nearly 11 years now, even with this channel. And if you were to tell me at the beginning of the journey where I would have to be in 11 years, where I have arrived, I would feel overwhelmed. So it's not about fixating on the end result. It's about focusing on the next step. And that's the key differentiator. It's because if you had told me 11 years ago, this is where you'll be in 11 years in your preparedness journey, I would have given up. I would have done something else. I would have said, that's way too hard. But instead, what I did is I focused on the next step. I started stacking wins. I added more water to my house, a gallon here, a gallon there. I did simple things. And in the same way, you can take steps today. You can double check your password manager with all the cyber attacks that we're probably going to be seeing in the coming months. those are practical steps that you can take. You can clear a few dry limbs from around your house if you're in an area like me with fire season. And you can use these updates as a compass, not a cause for panic. In storms, whether they're political, economic, or literal, they're going to come. But you're not powerless. And I'll say this 100 times on the channel, you are not a victim. You have the ability to move forward. You're preparing with purpose, with clarity, and with the quiet confidence that comes from taking action in a world that doesn't. You're ahead of the curve. So keep moving. You're not alone. All right, so let me finish it up with this. Nobody can accurately predict or have an absolutely clear picture of how Iran proceeds from here, the extreme weather the rest of this summer, or whether we're about to get hit hard with stagflation. What we do know is that some of these things we can correctly anticipate and actively prepare for, at least for the heat. So I would encourage you to watch a couple of videos I'm going to post here on the side of the screen. There's one on what we can expect to experience this summer, and the other is a hands-on video about how to survive a summer heat wave or heat dome when the power goes out. You're going to find good, solid information in those videos to help you get prepared to be in a place where you can insulate yourself from the most likely impact of these pressing threats. As always, stay safe out there.